What? A young rival disrupted the hospitality industry, competing heads-on with established players? Properties ranging from single rooms to tree houses and even to castles? But wait, what? He doesn't even own any properties? How is it even possible to compete in the hospitality industry without owning any properties? Stay tuned to find out about him, who made the impossible possible, accumulating a striking $7.2 billion net worth and was named as one of Time's 100 most influential people of 2015 and was also included in the Forbes list of America's richest entrepreneurs under 40. This is the story of Brian Chesky, the co-founder and CEO of Airbnb. Born in 1981 in New York to Deborah Chesky and Robert Chesky, his parents were both social workers. During his childhood, he found himself deeply immersed in drawings, paintings, and art. When Brian confessed to his mother that he wanted to go to art school, "Oh no, you have chosen the one job that will make less money than a social worker. You're going to get paid nothing." Brian enrolled in Rhode Island School of Design in 1999 and received his Bachelor of Fine Arts in Industrial Design. Here he met Joe Gebbia, and together they would co-found Airbnb, but not just yet. Brian made $40,000 a year working as an industrial designer in Los Angeles. Later, in 2007, he relocated to San Francisco and began sharing an apartment with his good friend Joe. However, they had trouble financially and could not afford to pay the rent due. To their luck, in these financial worrying times, there came an opportunity that would transform their lives forever, an opportunity that would set them apart from the rest, one that would make them billionaires. The Industrial Designer Society of America was to host a conference in San Francisco. The hotels soon began filling up with the crowds until there were almost none left. That is when the bright idea hit. The two decided to rent their apartment, purchased 3 air mattresses, and began marketing this sudden and yet a secret desperate plea to the crowd gathering up in San Francisco as Air, Bed and Breakfast. A year later, Nathan Blecharczyk, Harvard graduate technical architect, joined the partnership of Brian and Joe and became the third co-founder. They still needed funds and were closing up on debt. We were desperate. It was late at night and Joe and I thought that if we're doing air, bed and breakfasts and the air beds were not working out, then maybe they should sell breakfasts. Everyone needs to eat, so we thought we'd get into the breakfast business. The 3 partners created a special edition cereal inspired by the presidential candidates Barack Obama and John McCain, reboxing cheap cereals and rebranded as Obama O's and Captain McCain's, sold it for $40 a box. Paul Graham from Y Combinator, very much captivated by the cereal idea, decided to include Airbnb into their seed funding program. $20,000 was received from Y Combinator in venture funding, and Brian and his partners used the money to promote their website. 2 months after receiving the funds, the website was running with 10,000 users and 2,500 listings. With the victory of the startup, the name of the company was shortened to Airbnb.com. Paul guided the trio and pushed them towards studying the majority of their very first users. The users were in New York. The partners followed Paul's advice, no questions asked. Brian and Joe would often get out there on field visits in search of possibilities to contact hosts and consumers. They would often hold meetups to demonstrate the perks of hosting. They frequently looked into photographs utilized by the hosts and often attempted to improve each one. Meanwhile, Nathan often handled the technical aspects of their startup. Success began cracking open the door. This was when Airbnb caught the attention of Greg McAdoo, senior partner in Sequoia. Greg was well aware of the benefits in the hospitality industry and realized that the trio's idea was worth giving a tiny nudge. Brian received a whopping $585,000 from Sequoia, and Airbnb almost immediately was valued at $2.4 million. The moment Sequoia funded us, the rocket ship took off. A few months later, Brian was fruitfully opening offices internationally. Just a few of the lots are in Milan, Barcelona, Paris, Moscow, and Sao Paulo. By 2013, Brian and the team were so successful in serving 9 million guests, and almost 250 properties were added in the same year. Coming back to where we are today, it's just been a few years since Brian and Joe wanted to earn some extra cash to pay rent. Though it is just a few years, their small-scale startup has toured a long way with more than 4 million hosts in more than 100,000 locations in more than 220 countries worldwide. Under Brian's continuous supervision from day one, the platform has greeted more than 1 billion guests across the world. At the time, a lot of people just said that it was the worst idea ever, and yet somehow it worked. The founders also believed in constantly keeping up with their values for success by putting personal touch and keeping it authentic. Guests can connect with locals and experience things and not just view places. Belong anywhere had been the slogan encouraging the feel-at-home atmosphere where you are. The booking and reservation process was made easier than ever by following Steve Jobs 3 clicks away from the Apple Music. It should take guests 3 clicks to book their accommodation. The major concern Brian encountered was the coronavirus pandemic. The world was asked to stay indoors, travel restrictions were imposed, no sight of a vacation. The whole industry was barely surviving. This was the biggest roller coaster ride for Brian, not the fun one. His entrance into the industry was not too long ago. Thus, his experience to handle a major pandemic and dealing with the economic crisis that soon became dominant was insufficient. It was predicted Airbnb might not survive. Within the first 8 weeks, the business had dropped by 80%. 1,900 employees were laid off. However, Brian took initiative. He had no hope to quit. Brian realized that consumers traveling to other countries and crossing borders was more than half their sales, but as people became more adaptive to the pandemic, they began traveling smaller distances to visit their friends and family. Brian seized the opportunity with the campaign Go Near, began working with Dr. Vivek Murthy, and established an enhanced cleaning protocol. The standard was adopted by more than 1 million hosts. He even proceeded to take away $250 million and distribute it among hosts as an aid to survive the pandemic, even though Brian began accumulating debt. But Brian truly believed that his hosts are the company's lifeblood. If the hosts survive, Airbnb survives. Brian, Joe, and Nathan invested their talents and time wholly into Airbnb. It was the combination of their attributes that took Airbnb to the moments of victory. Brian is the CEO of a relatively new company, yet he fought his way to the top. Coronavirus pandemic was against him. He fell, yes, but he began sailing through only stronger. Prepared to fight for his passion. For Brian, the sky is the limit. Growing up, you're told to look straight ahead. You don't get rewarded for being disruptive. You just go straight to the principal's office. I was there quite often. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.